Hey guys, it's Laura. You may have seen some of my other Vivobarefoot shoe reviews, and I think it's time for some updates. Today I'm going to focus primarily on the Geo Courts, the Stealth 3s, and the Primus Knits. Throughout the video, I'll also do some comparisons to the Primus Lite 2s, which are one of Vivobarefoot's most popular shoes. I've also covered them in a previous video, and I'll link that one down below. So I'm wearing a women's 7.5 for all of the shoes that I'm talking about today, and I'll also leave timestamps for each of the shoes in the description below. Let's start with the Geo Courts. I believe Vivobarefoot released this model within the last year, and I was excited to get my hands on them. I've had these shoes for several months, and I am a big fan. In my opinion, I think that these are some of the most normal looking, casual, or everyday shoes that they have. And I think this is because the wide toe box is a little more subtle. Compared to the Primus Lites, for example, you can see that the body of the shoe is a little wider in the Geo Courts. And this isn't a bad thing at all. If anything, it makes my feet even more comfortable. They still have a flexible sole, but you can tell that these shoes are going to hold their shape. Well, I think these would be a great choice for anybody who likes barefoot shoes, but particularly for people who are interested in trying out barefoot shoes, but they're not a huge fan of that wide toe box look. I actually have two pairs of Geo Courts. The regular ones in nubuck leather and the Eco Canvas ones. You can see that the outside of the shoe kind of looks and it feels like suede, and then the inside of the shoe is that more traditional leather feel. And I automatically don't want to get them wet. I can, and I have, but I want to keep them nice. I remember the first time that I put these on, I remember thinking that they almost felt a little heavy for a barefoot shoe. I actually decided to weigh all of the shoes that I'm talking about in this video and confirmed that yes, these are indeed the heaviest ones. So this particular shoe, this single shoe, weighs about 8.5 ounces, while the Primus 2s, these guys, weigh about 6.25 ounces, hence why they're called Primus Lites. The Eco Canvas shoes are essentially the same weight as the nubuck ones that I just showed you. I believe there is a 1/4 ounce difference, and these are slightly lighter, but you honestly can't really tell the difference. Now, the Eco Canvas shoes are made from recycled canvas, so it's definitely a different look and feel compared to the leather ones. Now, I briefly want to talk about the heel area of both of these shoes. The heel feels very sturdy and structured, and I did find that the Eco Canvas ones gave me blisters the first 2 times I wore them. I didn't experience this with the leather ones, but I do think it is worth noting that I have kind of bony heels. I'm prone to blisters, and this is, I think, the first time that I've ever gotten blisters from barefoot shoes. And I do want to say that I've worn the canvas shoes plenty of times since, and I haven't had any issues. I did find that the canvas shoes are a little more breathable than the leather ones, which honestly isn't that surprising. But with Houston summers, there were definitely times where it felt like a bunch of heat was just trapped in the shoes. I've been wearing these shoes primarily in the mornings because it's a little cooler out, and I'm really looking forward to cooler weather so I can wear them more often because they are so comfortable, and I think they look really good. Next up are the Stealth 3s. I wanted to try these shoes out as soon as I saw this color. However, figuring out what size to order was more challenging than I would have liked. I had seen a lot of comments from people saying that the Stealths tend to run big and they recommended to size down. Well, I decided to go with my normal size anyway, a 7.5, and I figured I'd rather have shoes that are too big than are too small. And you know what? These are too small. Now the real question is, why didn't I return them for a different size? I've been wondering the same thing myself, and I do not have a good answer for you. But I do hope you learn from my foolish mistake and return shoes that don't fit, because let me tell you, you're not gonna wear them. I do try to wear these shoes when I'm riding a bike or something like that, but if I'm walking around, I'm not wanting to wear these shoes. So this little section is more stiff than the fabric part, and my toes are directly underneath it. I don't like the pressure that it puts on the tops of my toes. And I'm not sure if this issue would be resolved if I had a larger size. I will say that these shoes are fairly breathable, and of course they're very flexible. As far as weight goes, they fall in between the Primus Lites and the Geo Courts. So they're not as heavy as the Geo Courts, if you could call them heavy, and they're not as light as the Primus Lites, but I would say they're on the lighter side. Now, this is something that really doesn't bother me, but it might bother somebody out there. But I have noticed that the tongue of the shoe does sit a little funny and it kind of flaps open. Okay, let's move on to the Primus Knits. I actually got my first pair last year and they quickly became my favorite pair of shoes to wear to work. They're only a tiny bit heavier than the lights, and they have this nice leather paneling which makes them look a little fancier. While they're less breathable than the lights, they're still pretty breathable, enough for me to wear them in the summer in Houston. One of my favorite things about this shoe is the ankle sock opening. They're really easy to slip on and the material is soft and comfortable. And while we're on the subject of material, I want to mention the new Wool Primus Knits. Vivobarefoot partnered with the Woolmark company to make these, and they were kind enough to send me a pair to try out. I think this Atlantic blue color that they chose for the shoe is really classy and it just has that fall-winter vibe. I was curious to see what these shoes were going to feel like. When I was a kid and lived in the Northeast where one would be more likely to wear wool, I remember having the itchiest wool sweaters and I've steered clear ever since. And I know that wool fabrics have improved over the years, but it still has left me skeptical. I've been testing them out and I have to say, these are restoring my faith in wool. You can see that the top of that shoe has the wool fabric rather than it being mesh, and the ankle sock fabric is, of course, wool. The fabric on these and the original knits are both soft, and I really can't tell that much of a difference when I'm wearing them. And I do want to point out, I am one of those people who does wear socks with their shoes. I know some people feel very strongly about not wearing socks, but I am a sock person. And to my surprise, these are pretty breathable. Now, I do think they're better for fall and winter and cooler weather in general, but I didn't feel like my foot was suffocating. That's impressive. I would say overall, the Wool Primus Knits are very similar to the originals. Before I wrap up, I quickly want to talk about insoles. In previous videos, you may have heard me talk about how my husband and I both struggle a little bit when we're wearing barefoot shoes and walking long distances on concrete. There's a company called NorthSole, and they specifically design insoles for barefoot shoes. And they were kind enough to send my husband and me 2 different insoles, a 3mm and a 6mm. Now, I know there are different schools of thought for how people transition into barefoot shoes, and for me, I found moving incrementally was really helpful and it just made it an overall positive experience. I personally think that these insoles are a really great transition option for barefoot shoes. While Alex and I both found the 6mm one to be insanely comfortable, we both prefer the 3mm insole. Alex and I both prefer the 3mm insole because they give just enough cushion for us to get through long walks without our feet hurting. And I've also noticed that my feet have gotten stronger and I can handle those longer distances without the insoles. And they also work for different barefoot shoe brands, which is an added bonus. And NorthSole was kind enough to give me a discount code that I could share with you guys in case you're interested in trying them out. So you can find that along with my Vivobarefoot discount code in the description down below. Whew. At this point, I hope you feel like you have a better understanding of some of the pros and cons, at least from my opinion, about these shoes. As of now, I would say that my top 3 Vivobarefoot shoes would be the Primus Lite 2s, either the bio or the recycled. They basically feel the same. The Primus Knits and the Geo Courts. The stealths have potential, but I do still have concerns around that top panel, and I just wish they would be more consistent and predictable with their sizing. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching and for your support. Bye guys!